So that is the traditional conga pattern called tumbao.
And this is really sort of the bread and butter for the salsa music, the Latin jazz. The accompaniment that would come with the clave, the tumbao pattern, would be what we call the cascada pattern, right? So the cascada pattern, cascada means wood, correct? Shell.
Cascada means shell.
Shell. Can you demonstrate the cascada and the clave on the timbali shell, where you'll really be able to hear distinctly what these two rhythms are doing?
What we know as salsa today, it's a commercial name, right? It was a way to sell the music without saying that it was Cuban, right? So the New York Puerto Ricans were like, yeah, this is son, but we can't sell something called son. In English is son. Like, come dance to son. That doesn't quite roll off the tongue. And so in the 60s, a very famous music label called Fania, which was headed by Jerry Masucci, a Jewish lawyer, and Johnny Pacheco, who was a Dominican flautist, band leader, arranger, just a phenom. Jerry Masucci fell in love with the music when he was in the army in Cuba. This is before the revolution, and fell in love with the rhythm. And when he came to New York, he says, man, I gotta get this thing together. And he found Johnny Pacheco, and they said, this is Cuban music. And this is around the time of the rise of the Cuban Revolution, so they couldn't call this Cuban song, come dance Cuban song music. That wasn't gonna fly in this country, with this government, it just wasn't gonna fly. So they came up with salsa. And most importantly, they called it New Yorican salsa, because they wanted to label it and claim that it was invented in New York. And so there were things that they added that was their own flavor, like horn lines, what we called mambos and moñas, which are sections of the music, which they did it beautifully. But at its core, this is Cuban music. And these are called bailas. We call them timbales today, but their traditional name is bailas. And they come from timpanis. But what the street guys did is they found the timpanis and decided to add a cowbell from a cow, which would hang traditionally from a string, and when they needed to play it, they'd pick it up and put it on the drum and play the bell. But they liked the sound of this side of the timpani, which sounded, this sounds, I mean, less quiet.
More, because it had more like resonance, and the wood can be very dead.
But most importantly, the clave could come across loud across an orchestra, hitting the side of the timpani. Un clave with the cascada together.
Now what's cool about that opened up the door to another style called danzón, which turned into cha-cha-cha. I mentioned there's two claves. There's the son clave and there's the rumba clave. We're going to go into rumba a little bit later, but I want to do a little trick, and I want to flip the clave. The way I've learned this is a 3-2 son clave. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Now the thing that makes sense about that is because if you're looking at that on a sheet of paper, in other words, if there's a chart, that can be written out, and you can see how the rhythm flows within the bars. Let's say play the same clave, but I'm going to start on the 2 side of it, and I'm going to let you hear what that sounds like. And I want you to see if that changes where your cascada is, right? All right, so here's I'm starting on the 2 side. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we're just going to clap quarter notes. So I want you to keep that. 1, 2, 4. All right, so can you feel? Now the 1 is what? The 1 is by itself. The clave is starting off the beat, right? So how did that affect when I flipped it and I played 2? Did that affect how you played the cascada?
Me and my cousins were like just clave psychotics, and like we'll play at a dance club and we'll be like, let's flip the clave and let's see if the dancers even notice. 9 times out of 10. It'll be somebody like a Cuban that will be dancing and it'll be like, whoa, you know? And be like, and they will come up to us and like, oh, you guys flip the clave, and we're like, you're Cuban, right? You know, or a very, very strong like salsa dancer. But it does matter in the music because it determines how the music is going to swing. It tells the bass player where to play. It tells the piano player where to play his tumbao. Tells the conga player what side of the beat to play on, most importantly the timbalero. It lets them know where the cascara is. And that lets us know when the horns are supposed to come in, when the chorus is supposed to come in. Most importantly, the lead singer, when we get to the chorus section, he's improvising between choruses. He needs to know where the clave is to be able to improvise. If not, it will sound crazy. And so that's why clave is so important within the musical context.
I'm going to play now, I'm going to take the folkloric parts and I'm going to put them on the drum set. I'm going to have Frankie accompany me on the conga, and I'm just going to play the cascada pattern. I'll be playing on the bell on my right cymbal. The clave I'll play on the side of the stick. I'll also play some tumbao on my bass drum, a little bit with him. And then I'll also bring in the tom-tom.